Hello, welcome to another episode. This time we're going to talk about minimum wage because it's getting popular in the United States. There's a serious talk about increasing the minimum wage on a federal level, not states level, federal level. So basically, the whole of the United States, the entire country, is going to have $15 minimum wage an hour. The minimum wage as a concept, you know, is it's not bad. It's not bad. It's positive. I can see how people think it's a good thing, right? Because it sounds good. Why not have a minimum higher minimum wage? Why not have like all of those earning low wages basically earn more? It sounds great. It sounds amazing. But there is a cost to minimum wage. There is a cost to minimum wage, and it's not just placing the lowest skilled workers out of jobs. It's not basically reducing employment. It's not increasing automation. That's obviously an issue, and that's obviously something that's not taken into account a lot of the times. But there's a bigger cost to that, and that's that we have these giant corporations, giant corporations who are already paying minimum wages, or not minimum wages, but above minimum wages. Now, again, they do have third third parties, associate businesses, who they are paying lower wages, possibly minimum wage, or even lower, interns and stuff like that. But overall, like Google, for example, Apple, all these big corporations, they're paying already above the minimum wage. They're already paying above the minimum wage. Already paying most of their workers $15 an hour minimum wage, maybe even more. The issue here is if you put a high minimum wage like $15 an hour, it's going to hurt small and even medium-sized businesses. It's going to hurt small and medium-sized businesses. And so what does that mean? Well, that means more monopolies or duopolies or oligopolies, right? That means these giant corporations in their fields, whether it's one or two or few of these giant corporations, being the only businesses that offer those types of services or goods. Again, the minimum wage is hurting small and even some medium-sized businesses, mom and pop's shops, right? Small shops, barber shops, hair salons, tattoo artists, you know, plumbers, electricians, those types of people working in small businesses, your car mechanics, your local computer guru, computer guy, your local IT guy. Again, those are the types of jobs and businesses that get hurt. Small businesses with up to 10 people who don't make a lot of money, but enough money in order to stay open and basically provide certain goods and services. I mean, you go to your local, car mechanic. You know, it's usually a small business with several people. So those are the businesses that get hurt the most. Small and even some medium-sized businesses that cannot really compete with the big guys. And so if you increase the minimum wage, say $15 an hour, like there's a push now in the United States, you're basically going to be hurting barbershops. You're going to be hurting, tattoo artists. You're going to be hurting car mechanics. You're going to be hurting small farmers. That's the people you're going to be hurting. The big corporations, Google, Apple, Microsoft, they're already paying, for the most part, $15 an hour. The, they're already paying the higher than minimum wages. Again, it depends state by state in the United States, but for the most part, in general, they are paying higher minimum wages than the official ones, than the government imposed ones. And even if they weren't, let's say they're paying minimum wages, right? They're paying the bare minimum wage that's legally allowed in that in whatever state it is. Even if you increase the minimum wage in that state, Google can afford to pay a higher minimum wage. They earn billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. They can afford to increase the minimum wage by $3 or $4. They can afford it. Even $5, even $10, they can afford it. Small business cannot afford that. Your local grocery shop, your local clothing store, your local jewelry store, they cannot afford, especially if they're living in a state where the minimum wage is, say, $7 or $8 or $9, to imagine if they're in a state where the minimum wage is $7, right? And let's say there's like 4 employees. It's like the husband, the wife, and 2 more employees, right? And they each get paid $7 an hour. If you increase the minimum wage to 15, that's more than double they would have to pay, right? Your local jewelry store would have to pay double the wages that they're paying now. Or your local barber shop, they would have to pay double. If they're paying $7 or $8 an hour minimum wage, and you increase it all of a sudden to 15, that means they would have to pay double. They're small businesses. They don't have the type of revenue and money, and they don't have the type of turnout to be able to afford such high minimum wages. There's no way. And I get the whole idea behind the minimum wage. Okay, there's a lot of big corporations, right, like Nike, like Amazon, etc., who have the ability to pay higher wages, but aren't. They have the ability to pay higher wages, but aren't paying them. But again, the issue here is that raising the minimum wage is not going to hurt Nike. Is not going to do anything to them. It's not going to hurt them, their bottom line. In fact, most of Nike's production is in Asia anyways. Most of Nike's production is in Asia. I mean, most of Apple's production is in Asia. Again, all of these Asian countries, even India nowadays, they have two production companies in India. Again, and they're not producing. They're not going to be producing in the United States if they can produce in India for, I don't know, $1 an hour. If it costs them to produce $15 an hour in the United States, they will just move to India. or China. And again, Apple can move, Nike can move, Google can move. All of these big corporations, they can move. Your local barber cannot move. Your local, clothing store cannot move. They're stuck there. They're stuck. I mean, they cannot just uproot and live. They live in the United States. Again, it's small businesses that get hurt the most. Small businesses, and of course, the people who are just entering the marketplace, right? 18, 19-year olds, even older people who are entering the marketplace for the first time, they're going to be basically placed out of competition, out of budget. They're they're not going to be hired. Why hire someone with no job experience, with no work experience, when you can hire someone who's already worked, who already has the experience? And so again, or as we see in a lot of these big chains, they're just introducing automation. We are seeing it in McDonald's, we're seeing it in all of these big chains where they're just not using people anymore. In all of these big malls and stuff like that, they're just not using people anymore. They're replacing humans with automation. They're replacing humans with automation. And so again, minimum wage sounds really good. Sounds really good. I know it's coming generally for most people from a good place. Okay, we're going to raise wages and everyone's better off. Well, not everyone is better off. Again, small businesses are not better off. Small businesses are not better off. People who are just entering the workforce, people with no work experience or little work experience, they're the ones who are not getting a benefit from this. They're the ones who are actually going to be negatively impacted by a higher minimum wage. And that's not just like in the United States, or this is basically applied globally. There's no country in the entire world that can say, hey, let's just increase the minimum wage, but I don't know, by 30%. Let's just increase it from, like, I don't know, 5 euros to like 10 euros. It just doesn't work like that. No matter where you are, you still have to contend with the market forces. And the thing is, again, who gets hurt the most by the minimum wage? It's poor people. It's poor people, it's new workers, it's small businesses. Again, your local businesses, your local hair salon, your local tattoo artist, your local car mechanic. Those are the types of businesses that get hurt. Your local, ice cream, shop, your local ice cream shop, they get hurt the most. It's not the big corporations. Again, Nike already produces most of their products in Asia, in India. Again, Apple is producing all of their phones and all of their gadgets outside of the United States. They're not getting, hurt, and they're certainly not paying higher minimum wages, not when they can leave the United States and go somewhere else. And some of these big corporations who are primarily based in the United States, like Google, for example, even though they actually use significant Indian workforce for call centers and stuff like that, technical support and stuff like that. But still, they're already paying their workers more than the minimum wage. So if you increase the minimum wage, Google already pays it. The standard is not going to be uplifted for most people. because most people actually working for these big corporations who are already paying a little bit higher than the minimum wages that are set. So who you're going to be hurting with an increase in the minimum wage, especially $15 federal minimum wage, is going to be local businesses. Local businesses. I mean, your small farmer, the neighbor who has a small farm, right? The neighbor who has cattle, the neighbor who has, you know, a car mechanic shop, the neighbor who's a plumber. Those are the types of people. Those are the types of jobs that will get hurt the most. Again, smaller, but those types of more local jobs, you know, they're the ones who are going to get hurt. And if small businesses don't shut down, don't go bankrupt, they're going to just transfer the cost to their consumers, to you, right? To all of us. We, the general consumer, is going to pay higher prices, right? If they cannot afford the minimum wage, they're either going to fire someone or they're going to increase the prices of their products and services. So next time you go to buy a burger, next time you go to buy coffee, next time you go to buy ice cream, next time you go to get a massage, or next time you go to get your hair done, you're going to be paying higher prices. You're going to be paying higher prices. And again, I get that there's a lot of these corporations who can pay more to their workers, but they choose not to. And I disagree with that. I think, but I think it should be a push, like social push and social kind of awareness for companies who can afford to pay their workers more. To give, if the company is very successful, give out big bonuses to all of your employees. Give out big, but again, instead of, for example, canceling people because they disagree with you, because instead of canceling people who say something I don't know, you find quote offensive or hateful or whatever, right? Go after companies to pay everyone higher wages, right? Again, just social push to pay all of these successful companies, right? Apple, Google, Amazon, you name it, big successful companies who are earning billions of dollars, right? Who have profits each year to pay their workers more, right? That's that's where the change has to happen. You cannot have a one size fits all government solution. That only hurts small businesses. That only hurts poor people. It doesn't hurt big corporations. It doesn't hurt rich people. It only hurts the people it's supposed to help. Those are the ones. And again, with all of the rules and regulations, and again, high minimum wage, people who will lose their jobs, they cannot just, I don't know, start their own business. They cannot just, I don't know, do something. No, not with all of the rules and regulations, not with all of the high taxes, not with the high minimum wages. Again, it's impossible to succeed as a small business. It's impossible these days to succeed as a small business. If people have wondered why is there reducing, GDP and reducing, uh, growth every year in the West, in Europe, in Canada, in the United States, in all of these Western countries, because Western countries are becoming more communist-like, more Soviet-like, and Eastern countries, communist countries in the past, like China, like Russia, like all of these Eastern European countries, they are becoming more free market. They are becoming more capitalist. and they're having higher growth. Again, the West has basically taken the way of the communists, the way of the Soviet Union, right? And the Soviet Union and China, all these former communist countries, have taken from the West and are actually, you know, providing freer markets. They're actually providing, you know, less government interference, lower taxes, etc. So that's it for this one. See you guys next time.